So our second day in Anaheim, we had tickets to go to Knott's Berry Farm. And I had no idea what Knott's Berry Farm was until I started looking for Anaheim stuff to do and found that was pretty close by. So Anaheim has an Anaheim Resort Transportation thing. So they have lots of buses that go to different places, and like Disneyland is the hub. And you can go to Disneyland, or you can go to like Angels Stadium, and you can go to all these different little places. But one of the places you can go to is Knott's Berry Farm. So we took the bus out to Knott's Berry Farm and had our tickets and everything. We got there a little bit early, so we got there before the park opened, which meant we got to spend time walking around in the gift shop before it opened. And we got to pick out what we wanted, if we wanted to buy anything before. And I picked out a nice mug, and I actually have it right here. So this is my Knott's Berry Farm mug that I got at Knott's Berry Farm. It's very big. It's like, my God, it's like the size of my hand. It's huge, and it's full of tea right now. So I picked out my mug and decided to wait until we were leaving the park to actually go in and buy it. So that way I didn't have to carry it on like all of the rides or put it in a locker or whatever. So anyway, we stood out and waited for the park to open, and the weirdest thing happened when the park opened, and it was not something that Kevin or I expected, and that's that suddenly the Star Spangled Banner started playing, the Whitney Houston version. Yeah, it was really weird. And then the park opened and we went inside. Yay! So the first ride that we rode was called Ghost Rider, and it is a wooden roller coaster. Wooden roller coasters are really cool, and this one was huge, so big. Oh my gosh. And I've got the stuff from the website here. So it says, looming 108 feet over historic Ghost Town, Ghost Rider is the largest attraction in park history and one of the longest and tallest wooden roller coasters in the world. And it had just reopened too. They were doing, I don't know what they did to it, but the website actually said it was closed, or it was going to be closed the day that we went there, but it was open and it was working, so we got to ride it, and it was very awesome. We actually rode it twice, because we rode it when we went into the park, the first ride that we rode, and we also rode it as we were leaving the park. It was the last ride that we rode because we liked it so much. Yeah. So anyway, after we rode that one, we walked around Ghost Town a little bit, which is like one of the sections of Knott's Berry Farm. We walked past they have like a rapids water ride, and I really wanted to ride it, but it was early in the morning, and it was a lot colder than I imagined it would be, but it was kind of windy and everything, and the sun wasn't out. It was like behind a bunch of clouds. It was very overcast when we got there, so I decided to wait until later in the day, but they did have another ride over in that section of the park called Pony Express, and it was very strange. It was really, really short, incredibly short. I mean, it seemed like it only lasted about 10 seconds. But it was really short, and it was really weird because they have you on horses. So you get on the horse and you have to like lean forward on it, and they have the thing, like the bar to keep you in place is in the back. So it like moves you forward, so you're kind of stuck in place. It's very hard to show this in a video, but you're stuck in place like this. It's very weird, and you're leaning forward over your horse's head. And that's how you go through. Look for pictures of the Pony Express ride, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So we rode that one. It was really, really short. And then we walked the rest of the way around the ghost town. And, oh my God, I feel like I've got something in my... There were a couple of other little rides. So there was like the Calico Mine ride, where you go through the Calico Mine. And there's one part in it... Okay, there's like a big hole where they're mining. And they call it the glory hole, and we couldn't help but laugh, and everybody else was laughing too, and there were little kids, and we're like, they don't get it, but what are you gonna do? So that was very weird. I don't know why they would call it that, but they did. Maybe it's based on something real. I don't know. Anyway, it was strange, and it was one of those rides that were... They don't even like strap you in. You're just like sitting in a train, and it's like, okay, we're just gonna go really slowly around everything. So yeah, it was one of those. But then we rode the Timber Mountain Log Ride, which is one of those like flume rides where you're in a little log and you go down and splashy, and Kevin did not like it because he got wet, and he did not want to get wet. He didn't even get that wet. I was the one in the front. I was the one that got splashed the most, but anyway, it wasn't that bad. So next we went and rode another roller coaster, and it was called Boomerang. And it is, you get in it, and they take you up. So you're way up here, and you're facing down at the ground, and you don't know when they're gonna drop you, or when they're gonna let it go, release it, whatever. So they release it, but you feel like you're about to fall out of this thing the whole time. Kevin was absolutely terrified. You know, considering the fact that he's 6'4", you wouldn't think that he would be afraid of heights. But he is. So he was freaking out up here, and he did not like the boomerang at all, but I loved it. Anyway, so once they finally release you, you go down, and you do like this weird loop-de-loop thing, and then you go up again, and you're facing toward the sky this time, and then you do the whole thing backwards. And I liked it, but Kevin was not a big fan of the whole staring down at the ground thing. Yeah, I guess I can see where that would be scary, because it was scary, but we were strapped in, so I don't know. Maybe I put too much faith in seatbelts. I don't know. But yeah, it was fun. And then we went over and rode something called Coast Rider, which is this really tiny roller coaster. It's not really that much of a roller coaster though. It's just, it takes you up and then you do this. And it's just constantly turns, like, what is it called? Hairpin turns. That's the word I was looking for. Lots of hairpin turns. Kevin hated that one also because we were up high and we were turning and he kept thinking that the whole thing was just gonna fall over. But it didn't. And yeah, so he didn't like that one. And I didn't really like it either because there wasn't really that much to it. It was just turns and like a couple of tiny hills. What's fun about that? So once we got off that one, I was really hungry, but we decided to do one more ride before we went looking for food. And that one ride was the Accelerator. And the Accelerator is amazing. And I actually took video of other people on it. But we didn't realize how fast it went until we got up there and the people ahead of us were on the ride, and it just takes off. It just zooms. It goes 0 to 82 miles per hour in 2.3 seconds, which is so fast. And then it does this loop-de-loop thing, and it does another loop, and then it finishes, and that's it. But, it was so fast. You get on that thing, and it's just like, you just feel your face, like, going back, and I don't know, it's actually pretty scary, but we rode it twice. Because we rode it later in the day again. It was really fun. And then we went to eat at Johnny Rockets, where Kevin had the drippiest hamburger I have ever seen in my entire life. And he was not happy about it, and it was very expensive. And then as we were getting out of our booth, I ended up smacking my leg against it and had a huge bruise the rest of the... Actually, I may still have that bruise. I should probably check that. Okay, so I don't think I still have the bruise. I think it eventually went away, and of course it should have anyway because it's been over a week. But, yeah, so Johnny Rockets was not the best idea, but it was open and it was there and I didn't want Panda Express. So, yep, that was on me. That was my fault. So next we went to Frontier Feats of Wonder stunt show, and it was so lame. I'm sorry. It was, okay, if you were 5 or, you know, maybe up to the age of 8, it would probably be really good. And you would look at it and go, wow, how did they do that? But when you're 30-something, you know exactly how they did all of the stunts, and it's kind of like, that's not very good, but you don't want to ruin it for anyone else, so you keep your mouth shut, and that's all I'm going to say about it. So anyway, after the stunt show, we went to ride the Silver Bullet, which, honestly, I can't really remember that much about it, but it was one of those where you sit and your feet are hanging as you go. It's an inverted coaster, and apparently it goes upside down like 6 times. Or something like that. Anyway, I think that's the one that made me a little bit nauseous when we got back to the thing, to the, whatever it's called, the station, whatever. When we got back to that, I kind of felt a little bit queasy, but it was fine. And then that is also the one that I got stuck the seat belt did not want to unlatch for me. So I was like, Kevin, help, I can't get the seat belt. And he said, well, looks like you live here now. So yeah. Anyway, so I got it done, and then we went and rode the Calico Railroad, which, of course, like pretty much every theme park has to have some kind of ride that you can get on, and it just goes around the park. And so Calico Railroad was one of them, and the other one they had was, it was a stagecoach. And we did not ride the stagecoach, mainly because Kevin thought that the horses, well, he felt bad for the horses, because they actually had horses that were going around the park and everything. And so he didn't really like that, so we didn't ride it. So after that, we went and rode Voyage to the Iron Reef. And it's one of those 3D rides. And I don't really like 3D rides, mainly because you have to wear 3D glasses. And you guys know how I feel about 3D glasses. I absolutely hate them. I don't like 3D movies. I don't like having to put glasses on top of glasses. Oh my gosh, I feel like a meme. And plus it was one of those where you have to like shoot things with lasers and you can never tell what you're shooting, where you're shooting at. You can never tell. So I never win those things. I always get last place, and of course, I got last place. But whatever. It was okay, I guess. Nothing to write home to mom about, that's for sure. Anyway, so after that, I wanted to get on the Bigfoot Rapids. It's one of those water rides where, you know, you're like going over rapids. That's why it's called Bigfoot Rapids. Oh my god. So Kevin did not want to ride it because he didn't want to get wet, and I really wanted to ride it. So I said, you know what, I'm going to ride it by myself, and that's what I did. I got in line, and I was behind a couple, and they looked at me and saw me behind them and said, oh, are you with the people ahead of us? And I was like, no, I'm by myself. And they were like, aw, that's really sad. So they took pity on me and they let me ride with them. So it was just 3 of us, and it was really fun, and I got splashed a lot, but I didn't mind. It was a nice warm day out, and I dried pretty quickly. Yeah, so not too bad. I really enjoyed it. So after that, we went to ride Supreme Scream. And it's one of those rides where they take you straight up and they let you sit there for a while. And I don't know how many feet it is, but it's really high up there, and then they just drop you. And of course, once you get to a certain point, you kind of bungee back up and stuff. But it's one of those, and neither one of us were really looking forward to this ride, but Kevin wanted to ride it, and I did not really want to ride it because it kind of reminded me of the ride I rode at Six Flags over Georgia. And that ride ruined the rest of my day because I rode it first. It was called Acrophobia. And I rode that one like as soon as I got to the park because it was the newest ride when I went there. I was probably like just out of high school. And I rode that, and it scared the crap out of me, and I didn't really want to ride anything else the rest of the day. So I was really afraid that was going to happen again. But it didn't. I made it fine, and I don't think I screamed at all. I just kind of shut my eyes and let it happen and hoped that I didn't die, and I didn't. So, yay. But yeah, that was not a fun one for me. I would not want to do it again, but yeah. So, once we got done with that, we went to Montezuma's Revenge, and it was another one that Kevin was kind of afraid of. Because it's another one that, like, there's a portion where it goes like straight up and straight back down, but it didn't hold you up there. It just kind of went straight back, so he was fine. But you go forward, you do a loop and go up, and then you go backwards and do the loop again, and then you're done. So yeah, it was 0 to 55 in 3 seconds. So yeah, and a 7-story loop, once forward and then backwards. It's the backwards one that gets me though, because you don't know where it is, and so you can't like see it and anticipate it. So that's what makes it scary for me anyway. But anyway, that was a pretty fun one. And then we went to ride Jaguar, and I don't really remember much about that one. Yeah, they all kind of start running together in my mind, and I think that it went like under and around some of the other roller coasters that were in that area, but like I said, I don't really remember anything about it, so I guess it was okay. I don't know. It was a roller coaster. Yeah. So then after that, we went and we got on the Sierra Sidewinder. And this was the one that I was kind of worried about because it's a roller coaster and you're going through all these, I don't know if you have any loops, but there's like nosedives and dips and all these different things and lots of curves. And the thing is, you're in this, there are like two people over here and two people over here and you're facing opposite ways and it kind of spins as you're going. And I've told you guys before that I don't like spinny rides. They make me sick and I was so afraid that I was going to get sick, but it turned out fine. It was not that bad, and it didn't spin like in circles or anything. As long as it's not going like really fast, I think I'm okay. So yeah, I did not get sick on that one, so it was fine. And it wasn't that bad. And then we went on the Sky Cabin, which is this big thing that goes straight up and it kind of just circles around slowly, so you can see everything in the park and around the area, and then it slowly comes right back down. And it was, pretty nice just to kind of sit in there, have a place to sit and look out, and it felt very safe. And yeah, it was pretty nice. So yeah, we after that we did the Accelerator again, and then we rode Ghost Rider again, and that was all. That was it. Ghost Rider was the last one. So there were a couple of things that we didn't ride. We didn't ride one roller coaster called Timberline Twister, and we didn't ride it because Kevin was too tall to ride. And yeah, I may have been too tall to ride too. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Wow. Yep. So actually looking at it now, I would have been too tall to ride too. So, okay. You have to be like under 5'8" or about 5'8" or something before they cut it off. And I'm a little over that. So yeah. Okay. I would not have been able to ride that one anyway. So didn't even matter. But there were a couple of other ones, some spinny rides, and I think that was pretty much it, other than some little kiddie rides that, we're not kids, we're adults, we're not gonna ride these things. But we did most of the stuff in there, in the park. And most of it was, the roller coasters were really awesome. So yeah, I would recommend going there if you like roller coasters. They were also doing something there at night called Knott's Scary Farm, but we didn't go to that because it was like an extra $40-something, and we kind of learned our lesson when we went to the Universal Halloween thing and absolutely hated it, and it was a lot of the same kind of stuff. So it was a lot of like haunted houses or haunted mazes and things like that, and people out on the streets, like scare zones, I guess. So they would like just jump out and scare you, and I don't really care anything about that, but I asked Kevin if he wanted to go, and he just, he said, it's up to you. And I said, well, since we didn't have a good time at the Universal one, and it looks a lot similar to that one, I think that we should probably skip it. So we did, and I don't think either one of us really minded. So before we left, we went to the gift shop, and I got my mug, and Kevin got some boysenberry cookies, because they have the Knott's Berry Farm cookies that, they're pretty popular, I guess. Kevin gets them from the vending machine at work sometimes, and he was like, well, we're here. Let's go ahead and get just a small bag of cookies. And since you can't really get the boysenberry ones, they're a little harder to come by. He went ahead and got that kind, and before we even got to the bus stop, they were all gone. But they were pretty good. And we had to sit there and wait for the bus, and it took forever. And once it got there, there were so many people waiting, and we were the last ones in the line, and we were afraid that we weren't going to get on there. And the bad part about that is the next bus didn't run for another hour. So luckily we were able to all pack in there like sardines. We were all standing and just barely behind the line, but we made it, and we got back to our hotel, and we went and got a little bit to eat, and that was pretty much our day. So yay, that was our second day in Anaheim.